Do you guys not understand why it took me so long to turn my life around? Some of you guys aren't getting it. You're not analyzing correctly where you're at, what you've done, how many holes you've dug. Why do you think I always call it self-mastery? Because it's about understanding yourself, and that requires you to look at yourself honestly. I would be so far ahead of where I am now, but you guys aren't getting how big of a hole I dug. Just because my habits are the way they are now, dude, it took me 5 years. It took me 5 years to build the habits, to fix. I was fixing everything. I wasn't starting from neutral. So if you're starting from neutral, I will get you somewhere so much faster than it took me. I had to undo shit for 3 years. I spent a decade with slowly developing the improper mindset. I had the proper mindset up until about 20 years old. I had the proper mindset. I was connected. I had a purpose. I had a plan. I had good habits. I had no bad habits. But then I did the process of slowly deteriorating the positive in my life, the positive mindset, the proper habits, and I replaced those with negative habits. So I had a lot of undoing. I had a lot of fixing and getting rid of to do. It took me 3 years, 4 years. It took me 3 years to get back to neutral. That sounds crazy, and I don't want that to demoralize any of you. The first year felt great because I was looking back at how fucked up my life was. So anything was a plus in the right direction. But now in hindsight, I stopped drinking 6 years ago. Now in hindsight, I'm like, man, it took me a full-on 3 years just to get rid of some of these negative mindset pieces that I had built up with negative behavior. Victim mentality, kind of projecting and deflecting, not being able to hear criticism about myself and move forward quickly, just beating up on myself if I made mistakes, just getting stuck in this pocket of like, oh man, I feel so bad. Now, I'm finally moving. It took that 3 years. So look at it like this, right? 6 years ago, I got sober. It took me about 3 years of the removal process. Not saying that process is completely done or that it's ever done. But what I'm saying is it took me about 3 years to do that hardcore stripping down of the bullshit. Getting rid of ego. Being honest with where I was and where I wanted to be. It took that amount of time. Now, in 3 years, I'm finally starting to take off. So just get that part of it. This is a long process if you've dug yourself a hole. If you're starting at neutral, I promise you, I can help you avoid so much backstepping that you won't be in a 12-foot hole and trying to fucking use a shovel like this and dig yourself out of the bottom of a pit. Let me tell you, it's so much easier to not have to dig yourself out. So if you're in one of those phases right now where you're like, oh man, like I'm going in the wrong direction, I'm telling you, stop. Stop what you're doing. The further you go down, the harder it is to get out. Not saying that you can't fucking do it, but what I'm saying is, wouldn't you rather start today and get out of a 2-foot hole, or would you rather keep digging and get a 6-foot hole to dig out of? All of it's possible, but you have to be realistic about how fucking hard it is if you've dug yourself in that far of a hole. You have to be ready. You have to be going into it going, this is going to be hard, but I got this. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm really going to. You have to put the same amount of intensity into digging down in that hole as you do getting out. You have to do that now. You got to be digging out with the same intensity that you dug yourself into it. But just understand, that's the reality. That's the truth. You guys all that think like, oh man, this person made it and it was overnight. You don't know what they did. You guys are delusional. You're thinking like, oh, they didn't have to go through anything. Do you know how many fucking haters I have now that go, oh, must be nice, and act like I didn't dig myself in that hole, like I didn't live in despair, and like I didn't put in 3 years of work just to get the fuck out of it? Not easy. It was not easy, I promise. Hit me up if you need anything, if you need support, if you need guidance, if you're having a hard time picking what to do, any of that shit. Just hit up anyone. You guys need to start now. It takes time. The removal process takes time. The process of learning takes time. So never just sit there sleeping and be like, oh, I'll do it eventually. No, you need to do it now. So hit me up.